And if you're still wondering who's really moving the needle in women's sports, Luka just gave you the answer the whole league is too afraid to say out loud. When Luka Doncic was asked a simple question, who's your favorite women's basketball player? He could have played it safe. He could have dropped a politically correct answer, thrown out multiple names, or praised Paige Bueckers the way the media has been desperately trying to get fans to do. Instead, he said what most real hoopers already know: Caitlin Clark. No hesitation, no overthinking, just facts.
He was asked about his favorite women's basketball player. Listen to this.
Who's your favorite women's basketball player? Caitlin Clark? Really?
And when the reporter followed up by asking about Paige Bueckers, Luka didn't flinch. He shrugged. She's okay. Haven't seen her play in the WNBA. That's it. That one moment exposed everything.
You know, like Paige Bueckers? No. She's okay.
Suddenly headlines everywhere. Is Paige better than Caitlin? Can Paige become the next WNBA star? Are we overlooking Paige's greatness? But here's the problem. Paige hasn't played a single WNBA minute. She's not a rookie. She's a prospect, a name, a brand. And the media is banking on her because they're terrified that the WNBA's identity is changing without their control. Even respected insiders like Kurt Miller started throwing out strange excuses, saying Paige wouldn't get the same break Caitlin did during her rookie year. They blamed Olympic scheduling, load management, media pressure, anything to soften expectations before Paige even suits up. But Caitlin didn't get a break. She finished the most watched college game in history, then flew straight to the WNBA draft. She had no rest, no soft landing. She was thrown into the fire and still led the league in assists.
Quote, perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Beckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article. At the 2021 ESPYs, Beckers was named the College Athlete of the Year. She used her acceptance speech to celebrate and honor black women in particular. In Beckers' famous ESPYs speech, she used her platform to recognize those who didn't get the same recognition as her, specifically highlighting black women. While Black America cheered Beckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as, in her words, a media darling, weren't singling out her praises. Is it a coincidence, or maybe because her injuries have made people forget her greatness as an athlete? But she's back from injury, and now why aren't people focused on Beckers as they were Clark last year when she was tearing up college basketball? Maybe if Beckers had delivered a more vanilla ESPY speech, things would be different.
And that's what separates this Fever team from last year. This isn't just a rebuild, it's a revival. But here's the twist. All eyes were on Caitlin Clark, expecting her to dominate the ball like she did at Iowa. Instead, she did the opposite. She set off ball screens. She moved without the ball. She made quick reads and passed up good shots for better ones. That level of unselfishness, that's rare from a rookie. And it sent a clear message. She's not just here to score, she's here to win. Therefore, when the Fever's projected starters hit the floor, Clark, Boston, Mitchell, Bonner, and Howard, something clicked. Spacing opened up, rotations tightened, plays flowed, and the rest of the WNBA, they started to worry. Luka Doncic's shrug didn't just reveal the gap between Caitlin and Paige, it exposed something deeper, a system desperately clinging to control.
Basically, Wings GM conveys key difference in Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark's rookie season. He said the one thing when you talk about last season is that Paige won't have the benefit that Caitlin did. And this is nothing against Caitlin, but we had an Olympic break last year. So you got to see some players take a month-long break, essentially. And those rookies were coming off a grueling season in the collegiate game. They got a break and got to reset and finish strong. This draft class, which includes Paige, is not going to have that luxury. We don't have a big break where they can almost catch a second win and then push to the finish line in the second half of the season, he continued.
But Caitlin has, and she's only getting started. That's why this matters. Because the moment Luka made his pick, he didn't just validate Clark's greatness. He exposed the fear behind the media's narrative. The fear that women's basketball is no longer something they can control, that the new face of the league isn't someone they anointed, that she doesn't fit neatly into their boxes, activist or quiet, political or palatable, legacy or outsider. She's just Caitlin, and she wins. So when you see outlets scrambling to prop up Paige, when you hear excuses about Olympic breaks and rookie fatigue, when you hear the noise about problematic fan bases and undeserved hype, Just remember, this is what disruption looks like. Even Georgia Amoore, who had more assists, was never credited as leading the nation. Why? Because the media needs Paige to be Caitlin's equal, but the numbers don't support that. The narratives are being manufactured, the rivalry is being forced, and Luka Doncic just blew it all up with one shrug. Because without WNBA minutes, there's nothing to evaluate. Therefore, Luka's response wasn't petty, it was professional, it was truth. And it forced fans to ask the question the media keeps avoiding. Why are we still pretending Paige Bueckers is on Caitlin Clark's level? Because the truth is, Caitlin Clark's rise has broken the old rules. Before Caitlin, the WNBA was a tight-knit circle, small audiences, predictable coverage, media gatekeepers who decided who got the spotlight and who didn't. Players had to say the right things, fans had to accept what they were told. Then Caitlin Clark came along, and none of that mattered anymore. She broke viewership records. She sold out arenas in cities she didn't even live in. She moved more merchandise than entire franchises. And most importantly, she did it without asking for permission. Aaliyah Boston, already a two-time All-Star, was grinding through defensive rotations. And right behind her, Michaela Timpson, the rookie who stole the show. 6'2" with a 7-foot wingspan. That's already scary. But when she blocked Boston, yes, blocked the Rookie of the Year, the entire gym reacted. Not because it was disrespectful, because it was real. Timpson wasn't there to be a background player. She was there to earn a spot, and every player saw it. You could feel the tension. 15 players, just 11, maybe 12 roster spots. But Caitlin didn't get a break. She finished the most watched college game in history, then flew straight to the WNBA draft. She had no rest, no soft landing. She was thrown into the fire and still led the league in assists. Paige is entering a league that Caitlin rebuilt, and somehow the media is already making excuses. It doesn't stop there. Some outlets even tried to frame Caitlin's fan base as toxic and problematic, claiming only one group is responsible for hate and harassment. Brianna Turner, once labeled a risky addition due to a resurfaced tweet, has done the exact opposite of what critics expected. On the first day, she and Caitlin executed a flawless pick and roll that ended in an easy finish. No tension, no ego, just clean basketball. Turner even said it herself. Caitlin hasn't even hit her ceiling yet. I'm excited to watch her grow.
And of course you have Caitlin, she had such a phenomenal rookie season, so many great accolades.
Clock ticking down, ball in Clark's hands. Dana Bonner urging her to shoot. Caitlin steps back from deep and drills it. But it wasn't just the make, it was what happened after. She bangs her head against the padded wall in celebration. Goofy, lighthearted, and suddenly the whole team is laughing. That's culture, that's connection. It's rare to see a team this unified on day one, but that's what makes this dangerous. Because the Fever aren't just getting along, the media is scared. Because Caitlin Clark didn't come through the system, she didn't wait for permission. She became the biggest star in women's basketball on her terms. And Luka Doncic's answer wasn't just a shout-out, it was a signal to the world. Real hoopers know who's really changing the game. Therefore, every time the media tries to create another fake headline, they're only proving what Luka already told us.
In Natalie Esquire Hart is so strong, LOL.
On paper, you can make the case that Paige Bueckers has better college career than Caitlin Clark. But this is the world of television, where you're not judged based on your accomplishments, you're not judged based on your stats, you're judged based on your drawing power. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
Caitlin Clark didn't take anyone's spotlight. She built her own. She didn't wait for gatekeepers. She didn't ride legacy coverage. She earned every bit of attention by doing what no one else in women's basketball history has done. She moved the needle and shattered it.
Not only do I not think Paige is going to move the needle, I don't think she's going to flutter it. I don't think it's going to vibrate slightly.
Haven't seen her play in the WNBA. That moment shook the basketball world. Because in just 5 seconds, Luka Doncic crushed the fake narrative the media's been trying to sell, that Paige is somehow on Caitlin's level. She's not. And if you're still wondering who's really moving the needle in women's sports, Luka just gave you the answer the whole league is too afraid to say out loud. What happened at this practice wasn't just training, it was a message. And what came next? No one expected. because the Indiana Fever didn't come to play. They came to take over. Training camp usually starts slow. New teammates need time to click. Roles need to be defined. Coaches need to set the tone. But the Indiana Fever, they walked in like they had already been playing together for years.
Y'all, we talked about it. Excited about the opportunities, right? Excited about the opportunity we have. Starts right now. The devil's in the details. Everything we do. Detail-oriented, purposeful, intentional, high level of communication. Okay, we're gonna make a lot of mistakes. That's to be expected. But if we over-communicate, we'll be able to work through it. So high level of communication. I'm excited, y'all.
She led the league in WNBA assists as a rookie. She has the highest selling trading card in women's basketball history.
There's another trading card that sold for an absurd amount of money. You'd have to pay $244,000 to have gotten that card.
She brought more national attention to women's hoops than any player, male or female, in decades. Luka Doncic didn't hesitate. When asked to name his favorite women's basketball player, he could have said anyone. Paige Bueckers, Aja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu. But instead, Luka looked dead serious and said just 2 words, Caitlin Clark.
Who's your favorite women's basketball player? Caitlin Clark. Really? Yeah.
No sugarcoating, no media spin. What happened on day 1 wasn't supposed to happen this fast. Chemistry, that takes time. Systems, they need months to settle in. Rookies, usually overwhelmed, but not this team, not Caitlin Clark, not the Fever. While other franchises are still juggling rotations and adjusting to off-season trades, Indiana is already playing with mid-season sharpness, catching lobs, blocking all-stars, shocking everyone in the building. Meanwhile, the veterans, names like DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard, didn't flinch. They didn't babysit. They led. What happened at this practice wasn't just training. It was a message. And what came next? No one expected, because the Indiana Fever didn't come to play. They came to take over.
Let's get to Luka Doncic, who of course plays for the Lakers now after having been traded. Who's your favorite women's basketball player? Caitlin Clark. You don't like Paige Bueckers? Quote, shrugs. She's okay. Haven't seen her play in the WNBA, so, and when he sees her play in the WNBA, he won't be that impressed either.
You can't Photoshop arenas filled with fans in other cities. You can't fabricate record-breaking trading card sales, primetime ratings, or MVP chants in visiting arenas. Caitlin Clark turned the WNBA into must-watch TV. She turned sports blogs into battlegrounds. She turned casual fans into loyal viewers. And she did it in less than a year. Then they said she wasn't ready for the WNBA. Then they said she only got attention because she's white. And when none of that worked, they started creating fake rivals to balance the narrative.
We want to see Caitlin Clark and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more efficient.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball.
The old guard, including some loud voices in WNBA media, didn't know how to handle her. So instead of embracing the growth, they tried to discredit it. First, they said she was overhyped. Then they said she wasn't ready for the WNBA. Then they said she only got attention because she's white. And when none of that worked, they started creating fake rivals to balance the narrative. And that structure starts with coach Stephanie White, who brought a message of accountability from day 1. We will make mistakes, she told the team. But if we over-communicate, we'll survive it.
High level of communication. Okay, we're gonna make a lot of mistakes. That's to be expected. But if we over-communicate, we'll be able to work through it. So high level of communication. I'm excited, y'all.